Pretty good.
Good.
I'll give people 2 or 3 more minutes.
Okay.
Is Adam finished?
Bring some cat-cows just to open up the back a little bit. Now you can feel into any areas that are tight and just kind of squeeze out those areas, maybe in the upper back and the low back. You can do little hip circles if you want to. I will get going at 12:03. Probably another 30 seconds or so. We're gonna do, it's all strength today. It's not intense, we don't have much cardio. We're gonna be focusing on the back and the core muscles and the low back. So low back is also part of our core. We wrap all the way around the torso here. So important that those muscles are strengthened because they support us in every movement that we do. And then we're gonna do some leg movements as well, but we're gonna be on the floor for most of the class, except for maybe 1 or 2 movements. And Adam is here, so let's get started. We're gonna start, you can either just be on your knees in this position if it's comfortable for you, otherwise you can be standing. We're just gonna do some chest cave and flare here, just to open up the front of the chest and then open up the back. That area in between the shoulder blades and the spine that we hold a lot of tension. Just keep alternating between those 2 movements. You can roll the shoulders up and down. Caving. You can arch the whole back here. You can stretch into the low back too a little bit. Still being mindful that you're keeping the core tight. One more time in each direction. Okay, and then if you're not already standing, you're gonna come up standing. We'll have feet about hip width distance apart or just outside of the hips for a normal squat position. And we're just gonna squat and reach. So one hand is gonna come down to the outside of one of your feet and the opposite hand is gonna reach up to the sky. Then you're gonna come up, both hands will reach up and you'll reach to the other side. Try to be mindful, I'm gonna turn around just for the sake of you being able to see my hips, that when you're coming here, one hip is not hiking up. You're still keeping the hips in line, and then we'll feel the stretch in the obliques. As you reach up, looking up to the sky, give me about 5 on each side. You can keep the arms up if you want to, or you can bring them down in between. Keeping the weight in the heels, the core is engaged. Feeling the stretch through the obliques. Breathing, waking up our lungs as well. All right, and when you get through your 5 on each side, we're going to walk our hands out into a plank position. And we're gonna get some stretch through the upper back here again. So you're gonna wave, I want you to arch through the upper back, rolling up into a downward dog. You can come up onto your tippy toes, and then you're just gonna come back through to your high plank position. Each time you come back down, here you have the option to do a push-up. Otherwise, you're just gonna go through that motion, rolling up through the shoulders, and then with a nice flat back, coming back down into your plank position. Core is engaged, pulling the shoulder blades apart here, coming up onto the tippy toes, feeling the stretch in the low back and the back of the hamstrings when you're here in your down dog position. And then heels drop a little bit, the core tightens, and you come back to your plank position. We're gonna do 6 to 8 of these, just depending on how quickly you're moving. And then of course the optional push-up in between if you want to warm up the arms a little bit as well. Should be nice and slow. Feeling the stretch as you roll through it. Caving the back, pulling the shoulder blades apart. We'll do about 3 more. Should be feeling pretty warm by now. All right, and then we're going to come onto our forearms like we would in a normal plank. We're gonna be here in a plank position, and then we're gonna lift the hips up into a dolphin to feel the stretch in the shoulders here. Excuse me, just a moment. Someone's knocking at the door, but you're gonna rotate in between a plank and a dolphin position. So just lifting the hips, feeling the stretch in the shoulders. It's also gonna work the shoulders. And you should feel a stretch in the upper back as well when you come into your dolphin position, keeping the core nice and tight, a nice and neutral spine. Yeah. Give me 4 or 5 more of those. Dropping the heels when you come back into your downward dog. Dolphin actually when our elbows are low here. This is our last warm-up movement. And then we're gonna move into our strength. All right, grabbing water if you need it. And then we'll meet on the floor again. You're good, you're fine. Okay, we're gonna be lying prone. We're on our stomachs. We're gonna do swimmers. So this is where we're starting our back strengthening. Really important here, the rib cage is tucked down. The core is turned on, and we're tucking the pelvis here. So we're not letting go of the lower back, keeping a nice tight core. Hands are coming out in front of us. Our face is about 1 inch off the floor, but also not cringing the neck here. So we don't want to have tension. We don't want the shoulders up by the ears. Nice shoulders drawn down and back. The glutes are engaged, the legs are turned on, but they're not coming off of the floor. So they're still on the floor, but everything is working. And then you're gonna lift the palms, and then bring the palms down to about the shoulder level here. Once you reach here, you're flipping the palms, bringing them down to the low back, touching the palms here, keeping the rib cage dropped the whole time the core is turned on, bringing the hands back up. Once you reach about shoulder level here, flipping the palms again to face the floor, and then they rotate up as you come to the top. It should feel natural The rotation of the palms, don't think about it too much. The core is turned on. We're working the low back here as well, but not too much pressure should be on the low back. The abs have to be engaged in order not to stress the low back here. And legs are helping you as well. Let's go for 10 total. We've already done about 3 or 4. Keeping a nice neutral neck, keeping the rib cage drop down, not forgetting about your legs. Waking up this area in between the spine and the shoulder blades is really important, especially if you're sitting a lot and we tend to hold tension there. Actually getting movement in the area helps blood flow and helps to release tension. And then we're gonna do squeezers or pike ups. So the more challenging option here would be a pike up. We're going for 20 total. If you get tired after 8 to 10, then you can switch to a squeezer. But your hands are up overhead, core is turned on, legs are nice and straight, and then hands and feet are meeting at the top. Everything is staying nice and straight, trying not to bend the knees too much. Here. Going for 20. If that's a little bit too challenging, you can do a squeezer. So then you will be bending the knees, arms will stay out in front of you, squeezing the core at the top. I'm gonna do pike ups. Going for 20 here. Not forgetting to breathe. Good work. Try to match your breath to your movement. So exhaling at the top. In most ab exercises where you're squeezing things together, that would be where it would be natural to have an exhale happen. And then we're going to be lying on our stomachs again. We're going to do a lift and row. So same thing that I explained last time when we were doing our swimmers, keeping the legs engaged, but not lifting off the floor, just making sure that they're working here. Core engaged, pelvis is tucked down towards the floor, rib cage is down, so we're not flaring the chest here. Hands are coming up overhead, and we're gonna lift our hands and we're gonna row. So nice neutral neck. Again, the level should be just above the head. So each time we're gonna drop the hands down, but not letting everything go, still keeping things engaged, tapping the floor, and then lifting hands just above the head, and then reaching till the elbows are at about a 90-degree. If you want to bring them a little bit further down, that's okay, but not coming too far up above the level of the head, keeping them about 2 or 3 inches off the floor. We're gonna do 10 of these. Squeezing the shoulder blades together when you bring the arms back down behind you. The challenge here is not forgetting about the rest of the body. Everything is engaged, squeezing the glutes, keeping the core turned on, squeezing shoulder blades together as you bring the elbows back down. Being mindful that the shoulders aren't coming up to the ears when we're bringing the arms forward, Drawing them down and back, keeping a nice neutral neck. Not forgetting to breathe. Good work. Of course, it becomes more challenging to breathe when we're lying on our stomachs. And then for our next ab exercise, we're going to do sprinter sit-ups. So a little bit similar to squeezers, but you're alternating. So as you come up, your right arm is going to meet your left knee. And notice the angle that I have here at the knee. So it's a 90-degree angle. I have a 90-degree angle at the elbow. Squeezing the core when I come to the top. And then hands come down. When I'm in this bottom position, I'm not letting everything go. I'm keeping things engaged. And then squeezing, bringing the 90 to meet at the top. In between each one, we're going for 20. See if you can bring the upper back all the way to the floor without letting things come undone. Good work, guys. You will definitely feel the core warmed up after that one. Then we have scap squeezes. So once again, we're lying on our back. This is going to be our last time, we're lying on our stomachs, excuse me. Last time doing an exercise on our stomachs. So once again, everything is engaged, the legs, the core, tucking the pelvis. Elbows here, they are at a 90-degree angle. So that is important in this movement. And then we're going to do scap squeezes. So the shoulder blades and the spine, the area in between them that we neglect and we hold a lot of tension. We're going to keep the neck nice and neutral, squeeze the shoulder blades together towards the spine. And before you let everything go, getting one extra pulse in here. So squeezing, keeping everything turned on, the core is tight, the glutes are turned on. You're squeezing, pulsing one more time. That is 1 rep, so going for 10. Don't rush these. Really feeling the muscle of the scapula here. Keeping the shoulders drawn down and back from the ears. Isolating that area in the upper back. Still using your core and your legs. Four or 5 more. If you finished early and you want to get in extra reps, you're more than welcome. Last one. All right. Nice work, everybody. Then our last ab exercise of the day, excuse me. It's a lot warmer in Chico. Feels like a real summer day today. Okay. Then we're gonna come into our bear position that you guys are probably familiar with if you've been in other classes with me. Knees about 1 inch off the floor, pulling the shoulder blades apart, keeping a nice neutral neck. And then we're gonna step back into a plank. So stepping back with the right foot and then the left, and then bringing the right and then the left back in the same order. That's 1 rep, and we're doing 20 of these. This is 2, and then counting on your own time. Keeping the core nice and tight, trying to bring the knees back to about 1 inch off the floor, not letting the hips swing in between reps. Going for that 90-degree angle at the knee when you bring the feet in. Don't forget about your neck, like I often do, not letting it drop here if you can. This is a challenge for the arms too. See if you can work through it. If you need to take a breath in between, dropping your knees for a moment, that's fine. See if you can work through the shake and the burn. Couple more. Good work. Moving into our leg exercises. Grabbing water, I'll give you a moment to breathe. And then we're gonna come up onto our feet for just 2 movements. And then we're gonna be back on the floor. All right, we're gonna do single leg RDLs. We've also done these previously in my classes. Feet start together. I will also show you the option if you need added support here. I'm just gonna show the more challenging option first. So 1 foot comes off the ground. Then as we bring the leg that's off the ground back to straighten, it doesn't have to straighten all the way. What's really important here is that the core is engaged and the hips are hinging back. So you're sending the hip towards the wall behind you. And if you want to, you can either keep the hands at the hips, if that allows you to focus better on the hip hinge here, or you can bring the arms out in front of you for opposing help with your balance. And you're just going to bring the knee and foot together at the top, and then reaching the hips back for each rep, keeping the pelvis nice and neutral. Everything is facing the floor the whole time, not letting this hip come up. Here to focus on the hip hinge here. I really am not worried about you reaching down to get your chest to the floor. I'm a lot more worried about the hip hinge, really engaging the muscles in the glutes and keeping the core turned on. So going for 10 on each side. Let's get started if you haven't already. Reaching for whatever's behind you with your back foot, stretching, 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 really driving that hip back. You will feel this in your gluteus maximus muscle, the bigger muscle in your glutes. You have a slight bend in the knee of the standing leg. It should definitely not be locked out here. I'm switching legs. If you finish early, you can hold a squat if you want to, or you can grab water and breathe. Not rushing through this kind of movement, because it's really important that we're focusing on engaging the right muscles. Otherwise, we just end up putting stress on the low back and not really doing our bodies any good. Another thing that's helpful is being mindful that the weight stays more in your heels. Really using your core. Beautiful job, guys. Anybody that does a lot of yoga, doing this kind of thing, where you're repetitively doing things like warrior 3 here. This is the warrior 3. If you're weak in your warrior 3, doing things like this is really helpful. You'll notice a difference in your yoga classes if you incorporate those kind of movements into your strength. Then for our second leg movement, we're gonna do Cossack squats. So a couple options here. If you want an extra added challenge, you're gonna stay nice and low in your squat as you alternate between sides, keeping the rib cage dropped down, the core turned on. You're gonna stay nice and low. We're gonna do 10 total, but I want you to keep it really slow and controlled. If that's difficult for you to stay low, just come up a little bit. Squeezing the glutes. When you're coming in all the way, you come all the way to the side. Try to keep a nice vertical shin so that the knees are not coming over the toes and we're protecting the knees here. 10 total, so that's only 5 on each side, but taking it really nice and slow. Squeezing the glutes, feeling the muscles in the inner thighs working as you come through your squat in the middle and then into your lunge. You can bring the toes up to meet the sky when you come to the side if you want to. I'm gonna do 2 or 3 more. And then we're gonna rotate through those 2 movements one more time. And then we're gonna move on to 2 more leg exercises, and that will be all for today. If you would like to get started on your RDLs, please go ahead. I'll get started in just a moment. Balancing on the standing leg, keeping the weight in the heels. Nice neutral pelvis here, squaring the hips to the floor. Stretching for that wall or whatever's behind you. If you get a little shaky, that's totally fine. Just the muscles working. Really nice work, guys. We're almost through it. Just being mindful of your body, thinking about what muscles you're engaging. Really engaging the core. If you feel any pressure being put on the low back, try to tuck the pelvis a little bit more. Movements like this will work the low back a little bit because we do have muscles there that need to be strengthened, but we just don't want to put too much pressure on them because they're very susceptible to injury. That's why we're first thinking about engaging our core and our glutes so that we can support muscles like the low back that need it. Last couple here. Beautiful. Moving on to our Cossack squats. Once again, nice and slow, only 10 total. Getting nice and low in your squat. And then whatever distance you need in between the feet to be comfortable. Not letting the chest drop here, keeping the core turned on. You can flex the toes as you come side to side. Try to keep it nice and slow as you transition into the other side. Three or four more. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Really nice work, guys. All right, bringing the feet together. And we have 2 leg exercises on the floor. I'm gonna go 2 times through each of these movements, and then I have a couple stretches for you, and you're done for the day. So you're lying on your side, everything nice and squared here. The top leg is going to cross over in front of the bottom knee, about a 45-degree angle out in front of you, and then keeping as much as you can a 90-degree angle at the knee. Everything is nice and tight here, engaging the core, not letting everything come loose in the upper body, not forgetting about it, drawing the shoulder blades down and back. We tend to forget about the muscles that we're not focusing on. So still be mindful of your whole body. And then we're gonna just do leg pulses for the inner thigh here. If you need to bring the bottom foot out to about a 30-degree angle, if it hurts at all on the side of your hip, if you have bony hips like me, I have to play with the positioning of my bottom leg. We're gonna get 10 pulses here. Try to hold for a little bit at the top if you can. Squeezing the inner thigh. Flexing the foot. Still not forgetting about your core. Breathing. I'm gonna do 5 more. And then I'm going to switch sides. Beautiful work. Try to hold it at the top for a moment if you have that. And then switching sides. Elbow in line with the shoulder here. If you're more comfortable, you can always come all the way down and then rest your head on your hands, however you're comfortable. Playing with the angle of your bottom leg, finding a position that doesn't hurt your hip. Flexing the foot, squeezing the inner thigh, holding at the top for a moment if you can, going for 10. Don't forget about your core. Beautiful work, guys. Good. And last leg exercise. We're on our side here. We're propped up. Our bottom knee is in line with our hip. And then my back foot is coming at, again, about a 45-degree angle. I want everything in line here so this top hip is not falling forward or back. It's in line with the other one. And then we're going to do pulses with this top leg. So you're at, say, about a 45-degree angle. Wherever is comfortable, you can play with it a little bit, and you will feel an area where at the top here, you're getting the maximum contraction in the outside of the glutes, the abductor muscles. So the muscles that pull our leg out to the side. We're going for 10 pulses here. You can point the foot, flex it. If you flex it, you may feel it a little bit more. If you start to cramp, just stretch it out a little bit and then go again. We're going for 10. Being mindful that the hip is not falling back behind you, keeping everything in line. Lightly tapping the floor underneath you, but keeping the muscles engaged when you bring the foot down as well. Good. When you're ready, beautiful work, guys. Switching to the other side, making sure your hand is in line with your shoulder here. We don't want to put too much pressure on the shoulder. About a 45-degree angle with the leg here behind you. And then wherever you feel the most engagement with the foot, you might be more up higher with the leg or a little bit lower. And then just pulsing here. Keeping the muscle engaged the whole time, even when you're bringing the leg down. Being mindful that you're keeping a nice neutral pelvis, the hips are staying in line. Beautiful work. Good. Stretching and breathing in between. Going through those last two movements one more time. Back to our inner thigh pulses. And then some stretching, and we will be through for today. Elbow under the shoulder. Being mindful of the pelvis. Keeping the core turned on. Getting a little hold at the top if you can. Nice work. Ten reps here. When you're finished, switching to the other side. Using your breath. Good. And then last movement here are abductor pulses. So knee in line with the hip, hand in line with the shoulder, and then the top leg wherever you feel the most engagement in the outside of your hip here. Keeping the hips squared. This kind of movement, you can also just do it off the floor without being up on our knee and our hand here. But staying up forces us to engage all the obliques and the core. Not forget about those muscles. More of a full body movement that way. Last set here, guys. And then some stretching and we are finished. If you're not quite feeling it, you can also try turning the foot in a little bit, angling the toes down towards the floor if you do these in the future. Just playing with the rotation. Everyone's anatomy is a little bit different, so we all require different angles and tweaks to really feel the muscle working to its fullest potential. Beautiful, guys. Have some stretches for you, and then you're free. Always just getting in my quad stretch, so I'm going to come into a nice low lunge, and I'm going to stretch these out here a little bit. You can bring the hand outside of the front foot or on the inside, and then you can just kind of roll side to side, feeling for what areas in the psoas muscle are really tight sometimes. And you can hold at any spots that are tight. And then switching to the other side. Always keeping a nice vertical shin when you're in your lunge. And then we're going to cross our legs. So one leg comes crossed and the other leg crossing over the top, if you can. Otherwise, you can just sit cross-legged like this. But if you can, really stretching this bottom foot as far back as you can behind you, and then bringing the knee on top of the other one. And you're gonna fall forward as far as you can. If you need to bring this bottom foot forward a little bit to let this knee fall forward more, that's fine. What's important is that both hips are staying on the floor. Walking the hands out, you should feel a deep stretch in the back of the hips here, and then maybe up into the low back a little bit. That area can be really tight. 2 or 3 deep breaths. Try to relax your neck. And then switching sides. You'll feel the stretch more in the leg that's crossed on top, but you may feel it in both sides, just depending on how tight you are. You kind of roll the neck side to side, 2 or 3 deep breaths on this side. Keeping both hips on the floor. And then 2 or 3 more stretches here, and then you're free. Feet just out in front of you, and then reaching forward to stretch the back of the hamstrings here. Not stressing yourself, just coming as far forward as you need to until you feel a stretch. You can flex the feet if you want to. Draw the shoulder blades down and back. Try to keep the knees as straight as possible. 3 deep breaths here. And then everybody's favorite pose, coming into child's pose. Actually, before we do child's pose, let's do, since we did back, we worked our backs a little bit today, let's keep the hips up, about a 90-degree angle at the knees, and then you're just gonna drop the chest. We're gonna come into puppy pose, reaching the fingers as far forward as you can without letting the shoulders come up to the ears. So still drawing the shoulder blades down and back, reaching the fingers forward. You can put the forehead on the floor if that's comfortable for you, and you should feel a deep stretch in the upper back. And if you need to, you can walk the hands towards your knees a little bit, send the hips back a little bit more, and then you might feel a deeper stretch in the upper back. Try to relax the shoulders as much as you can. And then sitting back into your child's pose. We're gonna walk hands out to one side to stretch out the obliques. And also the lat muscles. You'll feel that stretch all the way up your lats, kind of into the armpit area. The triceps as well, the back of the arm. When you're ready, walking hands to the other side. And then walking your hands up. And that's all I have for you guys today. Beautiful work. Thank you so much for joining me. Always grateful to see your faces.